So I was sitting here chilling in my studio looking at all of my fragrances, and I got a DM from a brother named Darek, and he was talking about oud fragrances and asked me if I had any plans about talking about some of the oud fragrances and the different spectrum of some of the ones I have in my collection. That's exactly what we're gonna do. My name is Neeb, welcome back to AROMATIX. So like I said, I'm sitting here in my studio, I've got this incense going. This is bakhur, and it's Yemeni bakhur. It's some sugared oud chips, basically. So just gonna have it here burning as incense while we do this video. We're gonna be talking about basically oud. So talk about oud while burning some oud chips. I think so. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about a couple of different oud fragrances, and they're all on a different spectrum. A lot of these fragrances have or utilize the note of oud, some of them more so than the others. We're gonna start off with some cheap options, and then we're gonna move up into the more expensive ones. So the most common authentic oud comes in the atars, those little 5 ml vials with the rods. That's usually how you get the most authentic oud. However, there are still some sprays and fragrances that use authentic oud. This one might not be an authentic oud fragrance, but nevertheless, it utilizes this note of oud. My guess would be is that they use a synthetic oud with a percentage, a small percentage of an actual oud oil in it. Some oils that you can purchase as a perfumer contains 1 to 2% of oud, and I believe this first one, this first cheapie, has maybe about 1% of oud. It's still there, it's still pretty animalic, and for a beginner, this is a great option to look into if you're looking for an authentic styled oud fragrance. And this is from ALZAAFARAN, and it's called Sheikh Al Oud. This for me was an early obsession, especially when I first started getting into oud fragrances, authentic oud fragrances. And I think for those of you looking for something of that nature, this is just ALZAAFARAN's tag, then this will satisfy that itch, or at least get you there. And as you can see, I do drain these. I've worn this a lot. This smells like Ramadan times. It smells very church-like. It smells very mosque-like. It's a great fragrance, it really is. I wish it did perform a little bit better, but still, as it sat, it got richer, denser, and deeper. It's an eau de parfum concentration, so it's relatively high, especially at the price that this goes for, anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks. It's a great one. The next fragrance we're gonna talk about is another cheapie, and this one is more so around creamy woods and a little bit of some spices like cumin, but there is a note of oud in here, and it's one of my favorite cheapies, honestly, and the projection and performance from here on out for the rest of the fragrances are just nuclear stuff, so you really do have to be careful. It is an acquired taste to begin with, and you add that with performance and it's crazy. This one we're going to talk about is from Paris Corner, believe it or not. It's called North Stack Hypnotic Oud QUINZE. I genuinely love this, guys. Genuinely. This is a boss type of fragrance. Smells very CEO, creamy woods, cumin with a backbone of oud here. So this is a very animalic fragrance to begin with. If not for the oud, for the cumin, or for those creamy woods. The cumin is borderline BO. It doesn't fully go there. It just adds a nice spicy kick, but it's great. If you're OCD like me, then you noticed my background was off center, but we're gonna keep on rocking. So like I was saying with North Stag, this stuff is extremely loud. Most of these fragrances, I highly suggest you do not wear them in the summertime. All of these fragrances are nostalgic for me. For those of you in the West, you might not understand or relate to some of the descriptors or experiences that I get with a lot of these fragrances, but it is what it is. If you're trying to dabble into it, I'm gonna do my best to kind of integrate Western and Eastern taste in a term or in a format that you can better understand. So like I was saying, this one is nostalgic. Really, all of these are nostalgic. All of these have a cuddle factor to them. For me, it brings warmth, it brings security, it brings love, it brings just comfort. Reason being is my father smelled like all of these. When I was younger, growing up, I remember a hug to smell like this because my father smelled like all of these fragrances. So for whatever it's worth, gentlemen, if you have that same experience, all of these will suit the bill. At least most of them will, but we'll go down the line and describe them as we go. So this one is a warm hug from Baba. It really is. The next one is from a brand that I genuinely love, and I think not many people know of this one, but the juice inside here is fantastic. And this is called Sphinx Elixir. So this is a bit easier of an oud fragrance. It's middle price range. You can find this for around 140 if I'm not mistaken. You can use code AROMATIX, save 15% off. I do not make a commission on this, you guys. I do not, but I'm telling you the truth. This smells like dry woods, and it has some oud in here. It's not something that's extremely animalic. It feels like this brittle, dry, almost saffron-like wood, something spicy, slightly metallic in the background, but very freaking nice. Very gentleman-like, and I think one of the best DNAs for the entire fragrance brand, really. So Sphinx Elixir, dry woods with some oud. borderline animalic, but not across the line completely. It's a great one to try out, Sphinx Elixir. If anything, get a sample. You could always try these on Sphinx. They have the 10 mLs for about $30. Use the code. It's like 25 bucks for a 10 ml. It's a great offer. Next one on this list is a little bit higher of a price range now, and we're going to talk about SAWALEF Oud Maktum. So if you've been following along with some of the live streams, I have covered this one a bit actually, and sometimes you'll find this for a good deal, but this is a very authentic oud. It uses a combination of different types of oud like Cambodian and Indian, so you can find the notes on Fragrantica, but it smells like an animalic dry woods. It's really as simple as that, and it's great. I personally believe this will be a great option for layering. Kind of reminds me of Woody Style by Arabian Oud. So for those of you that are used to just straight up funk, this isn't that funk, but it is definitely testy. Smells very authentic, and it's one of the best values or bang for buck when you're looking for something that's funky. For those of you in the West, this is going to be exactly that. For those of you in the East, it's going to be a clean funk. You're going to be like, okay, funky, not the funkiest, good. That's it. So Oud Maktum, and by the way, this stuff lasts 10 plus hours easily. The next one is a more mass appealing type of oud. I figured it has a place on this list because I don't want to just talk about all straight up funk. This has a little bit of that, but more so vanilla and saffron, and this DNA in the East is really pretty available. It smells almost like a chai latte type of vibe with oud, and this is from VERTUS, and it's called Vanilla Oud. Believe me guys, if it wasn't good, I wouldn't feature it. That's the reality of it. But this smells very nice. It's got the saffron, it's got the vanilla right at the top. Very sweet, gourmand-like, a little bit sharp from that saffron. Spicy is probably a better word to use than sharp. It's not really too metallic, but it really shines more so around that vanilla, saffron, and then the oud as the backbone. A great fragrance though. One of the best vanilla oud and saffron combinations. So even though this DNA has been done in the East, this is a great, great take. This one is fantastic. I love this stuff, and it performs like a champion as well. So if you're looking for something a little bit more wearable with some gourmand aspects, Vanilla Oud is definitely one to check out. This is not just hype, you guys. The price might be a little high for some people, but it's genuinely a good fragrance. Next fragrance we're going to talk about is straight from Saudi Arabia, so KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi. And this is by MAJID Al Oud, and it's called Mukhalat MALEKY ASLY. This stuff shines really mostly around some ambers and oud. There is some rose, jasmine, and bergamot here as well, but mostly it's just amber, rose, and oud. It's got an animalic oud here, and as you can see, I savored this juice. 5 sprays is the max thing that I would ever spray this bad boy on. So let's take a look at this bottle. It's really nice. It's very concentrated. This is an eau de parfum concentration, but really any more than this is just too much, straight up. So very nice looking bottle, and I do have another one from the collection. This is a 50 ml, and I think you can find it around $150 to $200. You're getting quality with this one here, guys. Extremely dense amber and oud. That's as simple as this one is. There is a backdrop to rose with this one. Very signature type of DNA, but very potent stuff and a bit animalic, if I'm being honest. One of my favorite go-to ouds to rock on special occasions, but clearly you can see I don't have any more special occasions happening. Next one we're going to talk about is an absolute beast mode performer. This is a lot more than just straight up oud. It's got a lot of notes, a lot of florals at the top. There's some saffron here that really sharpens it up, makes this one sparkle. This is a dominantly leather and oud fragrance. It really does shine around that leather from the top all the way to the dry down. It's more so leather than anything, but there is an animalic facet to this, and there definitely is some oud in the backbone of this fragrance. Fragrantica only lists it as woody notes, but there is some oud to this. And this is called Safari Extreme by ABDULSAMAD Al-Quraishi. Gentlemen and ladies, be careful with this one because a lot of gentlemen might think that this is a little bit feminine leaning, but really it's unisex. It's great, it's loud as hell, and the first time you rock this, it might be a bit too much. ABDULSAMAD's website does say that it uses the actual oud oil, which it does, and there's also some ginger here. Spicy saffron, a zingy ginger, some fruits, there's some raspberry here, and then you get that leather. Super dense leather in the backbone that's lit up by the super bright zingy ginger and a lot of those florals and fruits. And then in that dry down, you get this beautiful ambery, musky sandalwood and oud. It's multifaceted. This stuff is a freaking journey, but like I said, it's going to be very challenging for a lot of people. Still, beast mode stuff and one of the signature DNAs from ABDULSAMAD Al-Quraishi. This is one that initially wasn't crazy about, but after I started rocking it, I fell in love with it more and more. So Safari Extreme is a great Great option. I thought about bringing in these two fragrances, Tobacco Oud and Oud Wood, to talk about them, and I think I'm going to leave that for a later video, but I will say I'll touch up a little bit on Oud Wood for a hot second. Oud Wood is probably one of the safer types of oud, but for those of you in the West that are just getting into oud fragrances, I think it's a fantastic DNA to try and get into first, because of the fact that it's a relatively clean oud. It's not too animalic, but it does give you just a little bit. Just enough to get away with, and for those in the West, that's exactly what they're looking for. It's a clean, dry, and brittle type of oud. It smells a little bit dusty, but it smells good overall. I don't want you guys to think that dusty smells bad. I'm talking about the actual quality of those woods in the fragrance. So, if you're in the West and you're looking for a good start, something like Oud Wood would be a great start. If you're interested in cheaper alternatives that are relatively close to the DNA and still pretty good, obviously it's not going to be just like the original, then make sure to check out some of my other videos where we discuss fragrance brands like Maison Alhambra and that Versace Oud Noir, and how I believe Versace Oud Noir is a more designer take on that exact DNA. But for this list's purpose, we're going to go back to one of the other fragrances that I planned on talking about, and it's going to be one of the best from Arabian Oud, and this is called Al Farid. I have to be very clear with this one, it is not going to be for everybody. This is an extremely niche DNA, and it's not for the average collector. This is not for the person that just wants to smell good. Granted, it does smell amazing. Although there isn't any saffron here, what they use is a different combination of notes to resemble the note of saffron, which is commonly used in perfumery. If you want to take an original DNA and add a little bit more of an interesting bite or spice, you can easily accomplish it, or one of the many ways to accomplish it is using a combination of notes to resemble another one. So what do they do to resemble the note of saffron with this one is they use that geranium, the pink pepper, and the ambergris. So the pink pepper is spicy, geranium has this floral spicy nuance, and then the ambergris is going to help this one kind of lift off and smell a little bit stronger. So with these three qualities, you have what basically describes saffron, right? So we have floral, we have spicy, and sometimes it can have undertones of leather. And that's exactly what this one does, and in my opinion, it's very refreshing and it smells fantastic. This is a more masculine type of fragrance, but ladies could potentially get away with it. I just wouldn't really recommend it because it has a pretty hefty dose of that patchouli and musk in the dry down. So this one starts off very bright, pretty peppery, pretty spicy, and then it quickly gets sweeter, denser, muskier, and a lot of oud in the base of this fragrance. The oud here is pretty animalic. It's nothing extremely crazy. This isn't anywhere near those small vials of just straight up oud. But like I said in the beginning, these perfumes just utilizes some of those facets and just a little bit of many different styles of oud. This style of oud is slightly animalic, not the most animalic, but it's a great fragrance nevertheless that smells fantastic. And for those of you that are oud collectors, and you're looking for something that smells good while using oud, this is absolutely a great fragrance. So the one thing that I have to mention with this one, a lot of people don't know, is that it was actually banned to sell in the States because of its design. It resembled another brand's design, and so it's really hard to find in the United States. So when you do find it, you jump on it, especially the 100 ml. Sometimes you'll still find it in the gray market and it'll still be sold, so you'll always find the 50 ml. But this 100 ml, very rare, very hard to find. And so as soon as I did, on Joma Shop of all places, I jumped on it. Longevity for this one is also next day. Lastly on this list, ladies and gentlemen, is a relatively new acquisition of mine, and it's a brand new love. Honestly, I love this fragrance. It's more than just oud, but it definitely utilizes oud. Smells fantastic. It mostly revolves itself around Cuban tobacco, so straight up from Havana, super fresh, a lot of fenugreek, a lot of spices, and then oud. It has some labdanum. It uses a lot of this frankincense, luban, and dhakar, and incense. At the mid to the dry down of this fragrance, you start to get this animalic, super high quality oud. And for those of you that have an Eastern taste and you're into those animalic facets, something more complex than your everyday fragrance, you should check out AMOUAGE Royal Tobacco. So like I said in the beginning, it focuses a lot on some spicy anise. You have some licorice and a lot of fenugreek. So for those of you who don't know what fenugreek is, hulba. For all of my brothers and sisters in the East, from Yemen or from wherever you are, Africa, and you know what hulba is, we put it on our selta and fahsa. That's what this has a lot of. So pretty strange, but addicting. I mean, super addicting. You have that olibanum luban burning incense in the back. It's super high quality. You have the Cuban cigar, and then you have the oud in the backbone. The mental image I draw with this fragrance is being in downtown Dubai. You go into a high quality cigar shop that has the finest cigars. You've got that olibanum incense burning, and you have some fine oud chips with maybe a hint of Yemeni bakhur going. Fantastic. fantastic fragrance. I love it. All of these are fantastic. To wrap this video up, I'm going to tell you guys right now which fragrances are 24 plus hours of performance. Yes, 24 plus. Safari Extreme, 24 plus hours easily. Farid, 24 plus hours easily. This one right here, 24 plus hours. Maybe not easily, but I think 24 plus hours for sure. This one right here, now we're going to jump into 12 plus hours. 12 plus hours Royal Tobacco. 12 plus hours on Vanilla Oud, and 12 plus hours on Oud Maktum. And now we're going to jump into 10 hours, which is going to be Sphinx Elixir, 10 to 12 hours really, and 10 to 12 hours with Hypnotic Oud QUINZE, and finally 6 to 8 hours with the cheapest version. And if you ask me, for sub 50, it's still a great deal. And the last one that I did mention, Oud Wood, it does last 10 to 12 hours on my skin as well. This is one of many videos that I'm considering making a regular here on the channel. After all, I am the Middle Eastern Fragrance King. If you guys are interested in videos like this, you want me to make another Oud 10 list or something like that, let me know down in the comments. I have plenty more Oud fragrances that I can format in a style just like this. So if you guys are interested, I can start bringing in a lot more fragrances that are Oud, and I'm definitely cooking up something as far as 24 plus hour long lasting fragrances. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, support this channel by scrolling down, hitting that subscribe button. It means the world to me. And until the next one, peace.